The credit collection mentioned in Tulfo Justice is very different from the formal court processes. Instead of filing cases in the court, the creditors bring their complaints directly to Tulfo's broadcast platform. The program uses media exposure and public pressure to push debtors into paying. This is a fast and highly visible, however it relies more on social pressure than on enforceable legal procedures. While this method is quick and often effective, it comes with complications. It bypasses a slow legal process but does so at the expense of due process. It relies heavily on public shame and accountability, which can pressure debtors into paying. However, if a debtor still refuses, the resolution lacks enforceability. Most importantly, it risks violating privacy and due process rights, since the debtors face what is often called trial by publicity. First, let's look at the rights potentially violated. Under Article 3, Section 1 of the 1987 Constitution, everyone is entitled to due process. In Tulfo Justice, debtors usually have little to no time to prepare a defense before being broadcasted live. This undermines the fairness of the process. Next, the right to privacy under the Constitution and the Privacy Act of 2012 may be violated when debtors' personal information like names or addresses are revealed without their consent. Another right at risk is the presumption of innocence. Exposing someone's financial struggles on the national television equates to a public trial, damaging reputation without the debt is legitimate or if it's not. Finally, there's the right to equal protection of the law. Ideally, all disputes should pass through the same legal procedures. Tulfo's platform creates a shortcut, giving a media influence settlements and advantages over formal court cases.
Now, moving on to the laws potentially violated, Data Privacy Act of 2012 prohibits unauthorized disclosure of personal and financial details, which often happens in Tulfo's public airing of cases. The Civil Code also prohibits abuse of rights, even if a creditor has a valid claim. Using methods that humiliate or harass debtors could be considered an abuse, making the creditor liable for damages. Additionally, public shaming without a court ruling can be considered libel under the revised penal code. This happens if the debtor's reputation is unfairly damaged. BSP regulations on fair debt collection also prohibit creditors from threatening, publicizing debts, or contacting third parties unfairly. Tulfo Justice blurs these lines because it relies on public exposure. To address these issues, three recommendations can be made. First, strengthen formal debt collection processes by creating faster, more affordable court remedies. This will reduce the tendency to bypass legal procedures. Second, encourage alternative dispute resolution methods like conciliation and arbitration, which are faster, confidential, and legally recognized. Third, reframe programs like Tulfos into platforms for education rather than substitutes for courts. By working with groups like the Integrated Bar of the Philippines, these platforms can direct disputes into proper legal channels while still protecting rights.